at you just so you can see where you're coming from, where you're going, and where you are. Let's say you have, let's do this just for fun. Pencil? Here's pencil. I just need to write something down. Write this down. Nope, sorry. Write this down. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. First of all, I'm going to write this. What is this, the quadratic formula? This is just for fun. We're going to do this. You usually know that means something goofy. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. First of all, let's do this just for fun. I'm going to graph this. This is a quadratic. The graph of an x squared thing is what? What will my graph look like? Somebody help me out here. Here it's a parabola. Let's do this, just because we can. What will my parabola look like? Well, kudos to those of you that remember how to graph this. Evan, what's the first thing? When I'm graphing a parabola of this, the first thing I'm trying to find is my no. Although you could, the y on this is -6, is it not? Yeah. It does cross the y-axis at -6. 1. But that's not the first thing I'm supposed to do. Calvin says the first thing I'm going to do is find the
line.
The axis of symmetry.
Yes.
Okay. And when we do that, remember we labeled these things. A is 1, right? Because that's what's in front of the x squared. B is -1, because that's what's in front of the x. And C is -6. And the formula for the axis of symmetry is -b over 2a, I believe. Correct me if I'm not wrong. And I put parentheses in for that. 2 times a, -b, b is -1, 2 times a is 1. So you end up with a +1 over, oh great, why did it have to be that? Couldn't I pick something easier than that? My axis of symmetry is +1/2, which means this, children. Here at 1/2, I get my axis of symmetry, it's right there. I then find the place where my dot is on that axis of symmetry, which means I have to do what, Calvin? Plug 1/2 into this, which nobody likes to do, but I'll do it anyways just because I got myself into this. I'm not going to quit yet. What do I get if I square 1/2? 1/4. What's 1/4 minus 1/2? Minus 6 1/2. It's negative what? Somebody? -6 1/2 plus 1/4 is -6 and what? 6 1/4. So here's the bottom of my parabola right here. By the way, this should be really close. So my parabola looks like this. Okay? And then I want to find one more place on my graph where it crosses. What number should we put in? Let's put the number 1 in. If I put 1 in for x, what do I get for y? If I put 1 in, what do I get? 1 minus 1 is, and I get -6. So that's right here. Maybe I need to do another one. Can we do 0? What if I put 0 in, what do I get? Oh, -6. Right here. What if I put in whatever? Anyways, so here's what the graph's going to look like, just so you know. It's going to look like this. Wait a minute, look at my paper here. Here is where my graph is going to look like. Here's my parabola. Now, even though I didn't do this, I want you to know that this parabola crossed the x-axis at -2 and +3, crossed in 2 places. Now, look at this same thing here. What was it? X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. If I were going to solve this by factoring, what would I do? What does this factor into? What times what gives me 12? What times what gives me this? What times what gives me negative 6 added together gives me that? We've done this before. Ryan, what times what gives me negative 6 added together gives me negative 1? Nope. Calvin? X minus 3, x plus 2, correct? Because 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Add them together, get negative 1. If I were to solve this, then when will these parentheses be equal to 0? When x is 3 and 1, x is negative 2. Guess what that was? Yesterday we did what? Or Monday we did completing the square. Let's do that. Oh no. I can do it, but I won't. Okay. Today we do, but notice these are the same. What you're really doing when you solve these equations is you're looking for where the parabola crosses that x-axis. Today we do this, the quadratic formula, which is some guy who actually solved the whole thing. And you probably would be wise to remember this. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. How does that work, you ask? Somebody say that. This is how that works. Here is my quadratic that you're given. Let's say I am given 2m squared minus 12m. Oh wait, I should do. Wait, no, let's say I'm given the one. What was the one I just did? Let's do that one first. Let's say I'm given x squared minus x minus 6. Let's do this one. Because what we know the answer to that should be, what, 2 and negative 3? No, 3 and negative 2, whatever it is. Here is your steps. Step number 1, you need to label your A, B's, and C's, which means in a quadratic equation, we talked about this, it is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So just like when we labeled it for the, when we graphed the parabola, you need to do that. What is a? What number is in front of x squared? 1. What number is in front of x? Negative 1. And what number is the c? Negative 6. You need to know what those letters are because that is what you are going to substitute in to the quadratic equation. And that quadratic equation will solve that. So take a look-see here. I'm going to rewrite it. Well, no, I won't. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So here we go. B is negative 1. B is negative 1. A is positive 1. And C is negative 6. Stop me there if you don't see where I got all the numbers from. Letters in front of those. 1 was in front of the x squared, negative 1 in front of the x, negative 6. You just plug those numbers in. Now we just need to do the mathematics, which is kind of where stuff goes south. So here we go. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, plus or minus the square root of, what is negative 1 squared? 1, right? Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. Minus, oh actually it's not minus. What's negative 4 times 1 times negative 6? I'm not sure what I was in right there. Plus 24, correct? All over 2. What is 1 plus 24? Happy day, isn't it, Christian, that we go to 25? Now notice you are going to get 2 answers because of this. One time you have to do it using, well, we know the square root of 25 is 5. So one equation one answer is going to come when you have 1 plus 5 over 2, and the other one's going to come when you get 1 minus 5 over 2. 1 plus 5 is 6, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. 1 minus 5 is negative 4 over 2 gives you negative 2. Which were the two answers I got when I graphed my parabola, the two answers I got when I did the factoring and solving, and the two answers I would have got had I had the perseverance to do the completing the square one, which would have worked, but I didn't want to waste your time with that. Got that? So for all of these, you are simply just going to put the numbers into the quadratic equation and solve them. And can I tell you again, for the bazillionth time, if you want to get these right, you have to spread out the problem, and you must use a lot of space and keep yourself organized. Don't try to cut corners down. But do it out as best you can. Wait, don't go get, oh, I guess you can. Go ahead, go get them. But we'll do a couple of them. We're not done yet. We're going to do a couple of these. By the way, you sound very intelligent if you tell somebody that negative b plus or minus the square root of 2 4ac all over 2ab minus c is what you're saying. That wasn't right, was it? Negative b plus or minus the square root of negative b squared of b squared minus 4ac all over. Let us do together problem number 1. That is a beautiful formula. Walking you through it like little babies, sorry, like 8th graders. You got down the numbers here. For that first one there, the letter A is going to be, Kelvin? 2, because that's what's in front of the M. Doesn't matter whether it's M squared, X squared, A squared, B. B is, Jacob? Negative 12. And C is, Christian? Oh, minus 14. Yeah, negative 14. And here again, this is the crucial part, because this is going to mess you up, those are going to mess you up. You need to, I would definitely, highly recommend putting in your parentheses, just because. So negative 12, negative 12, A is 2, and C is negative 14. Yours should look something like that, if not exactly like that. A negative 12 is a positive 12, plus or minus the square root of, again, negative 12 squared is 144. This is minus times a minus, so this is going to be plus. What is it? 4 times 14 is 56. 112? 116. 112. Gosh, I hope that's a perfect square. All over 4. If not, I guess we have to write it out as 144 plus 112 is 256. Is there a square root of 256? Let's do it. Positive 12 plus or minus the square root of 256 all over 4. 16 times 16, 256? Is it? It's at 96, yep. So this ends up being 16, and the two answers you get are when you take 12 and add 16 to it and divide by 4, and when you take 12 and subtract 16 from it and divide by 4. 12 plus 16 is 28, and that divided by 4 is a 7. 12 minus 16 is a negative 4 over 4, and you get negative 1. And again, please don't forget that what that means is this. When you actually, if you were to graph this parabola, it would cross the x-axis at negative 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever that parabola looks like, it's going to cross at those two places. That's the answers that you are looking for. I should look to see if any of these are not. Take a look at your sheet there. You will notice that not only are there quadratic formula problems, but there are also completing the square, factoring, and graphing. And your assignment, do you want to do the right hand or the left hand? Yes, let's do the right side. I know what shape you're trying to do with that. No, go do the left side. Do all the odd numbers on that. Odd numbers.
Chapters.
Odd